Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So welcome to another market open stream on location in Mexico. But today is looking pretty darn good. US markets are going to open way in the green. Bitcoin and crypto rallies, right? Overall market cap is above 1 trillion market cap once again. Does that mean bottom is officially in? Well, let's discuss all these things today. So let's get started. Smash it a like, subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit that notification bell, get notified of all my streams. Follow me on social media, check out CryptosRUs.com, and make sure you subscribe to the brand new Clips channel. Welcome, 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 guys. I am still in very beautiful and hot Cancun, Mexico. I was not able to stream last night or yesterday because I spent all day on a pretty nice boat slash yacht. So I am extremely sunburned today. And I'm feeling the pain, but that's okay. It's okay when everything's rallying right now, right? So unfortunately I still have to do I have to read the live chat from my phone. That's okay. Let's get started. Overall market is pretty darn good right now. We got 10 minutes before market bell rings. Unfortunately, I don't have my best, the best opening bell that I have at my house. I don't have that with me, but it's okay. We'll get through it. Bitcoin right now is up about 7%. 22,200, and it's still creeping up. It's still creeping up. You can see it's kind of going, it's following this trend line, this short-term trend line, and it's trying to break some of these previous local tops. And the next one will definitely be 23,000, which is something I mentioned before. Once it breaks to 23,000, it's going to be pretty darn bullish, probably right back up to 28,000 once we break that 23,000. That's a big gap. Hey G-Man, no more pool thumbnails, please. I thought they may be a trailer ad for your OnlyFans. What's wrong with that? You don't want to sign up for my OnlyFans? But anyways, yeah, things are looking good. Like I said, overall market cap is also above 1 trillion. That's significant. 1 trillion. How can you not think that's not significant, right? Of course, we were above 1 trillion. We were above 2 trillion. But when we fell down below, got a little, I don't know, little disappointing because we were below 1 trillion, but now we're right back above. I mean, just think about it. The whole asset class of crypto is over 1 trillion. It is not something that you can ignore. That is a big figure. All right. Before I get more into crypto and Bitcoin, what's going on today or this week, right? Actually, this week we have no big economic data to look forward to, so that's good. Past few weeks, past few months, it seems like every single day there's some kind of CPI data or inflation data or some kind of housing data or, some kind of data. This week, not so much. This week is all about earnings. So big earnings week. You have IBM, you have Tesla, you have Netflix, you have some airlines, you have pizza, you have some tech companies like Twitter and Verizon and I guess AT&T, you could throw them in there, right? So this week is definitely going to be driven by earnings, whether or not the earnings are going to be good or bad. But we did get a surprising earnings from Goldman Sachs that crushes analysts, and their shares rise. This is following last week when JP Morgan basically had really disappointing results, and then Jamie Dimon had to do PR control and damage control, I should say. And then he went out and said, "Oh, how it's not their fault. The whole everything's so bad, this and that." Well, Goldman Sachs is proving no, we're doing just fine, right? We're just doing just fine. Not that I'm cheering for any banks, but just not a big fan of Jamie Dimon and his stance on Bitcoin, right? But right now in the pre-market, you got MicroStrategy that's up. They were up on Friday, up almost 7% right now, so that's good for them. they dropped to like 180 recently or something like that. So if you go back 1 month, where did they drop to? They dropped to 160, right? Pretty close. 160 up to 228. That's a pretty good gain if you're a stock investor and you've been buying MicroStrategy stocks. Same thing with some of the mining stocks like Mara is up almost 8% today. Coinbase is up about 6% today. These are it's not just crypto themselves, crypto exposure stocks, okay, or Bitcoin exposure stocks. They're all doing pretty good today, right now, or at least in the pre-market. I got to take that back because the market didn't officially open, and it's very early, and of course things can turn. But right now things are looking good. And even Tesla's up 2%, even though they are facing this lawsuit from Twitter. Twitter's really bitter about how Elon pulled out, right? So we'll see how that goes. But Tesla, that doesn't seem to be affecting Tesla at this point in time. So all looking pretty darn good. Now, what else is there? Well, I guess yeah, that's really it for the stock market stuff. But I did want to give a quick shout out to my partner MooMoo. You guys may have seen that banner before. I don't have it while I'm traveling. But if you guys are into stock trading and you don't want to use someone like Robinhood, which of course has a very bad rep, you may want to look into MooMoo, which allows you to trade pretty much what Robinhood can: stocks, ETF options, stuff like that. But they do offer more comprehensive stuff like graphs, which Robinhood doesn't offer. There's a ton of indicators and drawing tools, and both on mobile and desktop. They also offer free level 2 trading data. Not that I use this, but if you guys wanted to, this is something that Robinhood charges extra. MooMoo does not. And there's a whole bunch of stuff like allows you to trade pre-market, aftermarket, regular hours, US stock exchange, Hong Kong stock exchange, which is interesting. And they have a whole bunch of other features. Just thought I'd give them a shout out since a lot of you guys are into stocks. All right, now moving on. What else is there? Well, that gas pipeline from Russia that's supposed to turn on the 21st, right, has been delayed. So it's been delayed to the 24th, and now supposedly this turbine that they're waiting for from Canada, that's been delayed, and now things are going to be pushed into early August in terms of the well, this is dependent on if Russia turns on that gas pipeline. If they decide to turn it back on, now it's going to be early August, which isn't too bad, another couple of weeks. But if they don't decide to turn it on, well, then it's just horrible all around. It's going to be horrible for Germany. It's going to be horrible for Europe, right? Which is why the euro is collapsing, basically. A lot of fears about what they're going to do if they don't get that gas pipeline turned back on. I don't know what's going to happen there, right? So it is being delayed for a couple weeks for now. What else is there? Not that you guys really are car fans. A lot of you guys are not car fans, but this was reported this morning. Ford is releasing their new F-150 Raptor R. Okay, so a lot of you guys that are buying the dips and you are going to attain financial freedom and life-changing wealth, you may consider one of these bad boys when the market picks up fully and Bitcoin is back above $70,000. Just to throw that out there, I'm a big car guy, and this is something I would definitely pick up as long as I'm not paying over MSRP. All right, with that out of the way, now let's get to some crypto stuff. So is the bottom in? Well, according to Raoul Pal, he does believe bottom is in. He does believe that if you look at what has happened, right, with all the collapses, the biggest one has to be Three Arrows Capital, which caused a domino effect on everything else out there, right? After that, right, now things seem to have stabilized, right? We're not hearing about any more exchanges or lending companies or VCs or hedge funds collapsing, right? So that probably was our low point, right? And if you look at some of these returns since then, Bitcoin up 24%, ETH up 71%, and many others. He didn't mention Matic. Matic is up like almost 200% in a month. It's insane. The bounce back right now, right? So he believes that the bottom is in, and he also mentions about rising volume in ETH for NFTs, right? That's something that I normally don't look at, but it's kind of true. You're looking at some of these popular NFTs starting to sell once again for high prices. So yeah, bottom probably was at 17,000, and bottom's probably in. All right. So so that is from Raoul Paul, and of course, if you look at other things that measure bottom, there's just so many of these charts, right? Here's one that's looking at a Fibonacci level, 2.618 Fibonacci level, which is the black line here. And you can see back in 2018, Bitcoin hit that line. In 2020, March of 2020, the COVID crash, Bitcoin hit that line, right? And this even measures the crash that we had in 2021, right? Around that May, June timeframe, Bitcoin hit that line, and where are we at? We're at that line, right? So there's a lot of there's a lot of models and indicators like this that's also measuring Bitcoin's bottom, and they all indicate that we did hit bottom. Here's another one, right? Moving average, 200 monthly average, and do we hit that bottom? Yes, we have hit that bottom. So you put all this together and you look at what's happening. We're definitely having a rally since that 17K bottom, right? And then you look at all the liquidations that's been happening with these big firms, seems to have stopped. You still have all these great metrics and models that show that we have hit previous levels of previous bottoms, right? And there's still a plethora of fundamental news about network addresses, about holders, about adoption, Lightning Network, hash rate, all these things that are still going upwards, all-time highs, in fact, for many of them, right? You put it all together, well, one would conclude that we have seen bottom, right? And we are now in recovery mode. Now, you can't be 100% sure, and I've said this many, many times, when we had those massive crashes before, we had those massive, dips, right, to a very low level. You don't know if that's actually bottom until enough time has passed and until the price has gone up significantly where you say, okay, now it's pretty obvious that that was bottom, right? Just like in the COVID crash when Bitcoin hit 3,800 and we start coming up to 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, many people were calling, oh, we had to go to 1,000 or something like that. But by the time we recovered up to 10,000 plus, I think people said, okay, concluded that was bottom. Although some called, us to crash back down to 3,000s. Same thing in 2018. When we hit that 3,000 bottom and we kind of hovered between 3, 4, 5,000, there's guys that kept claiming due to hyperwave or whatever, we're going to go down to 1,000. And then finally, when we recover to 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, 10,000, 20,000, okay, now we can conclude that's bottom, right? So it's one of those things, even though everything is telling us that was bottom, the 17K, but we're not 100% sure. It may be a slow, steady recovery upwards like what we're seeing, right? But until we get back up to $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, there will always be people that say, well, that wasn't the bottom, we're going to go down more, right? But at some point, we will finally conclude that that is bottom. But we just don't know at that time, right? At this time. So we just have to wait it out. But with all that said, how do you handle these situations? Do you have to time the bottom before you buy in? No, you don't have to. That's the whole point of DCA, right? You don't have to try to guess. There's way too many people that are trying to guess. And when they guess, they lose out, right? I've made so many videos recently about chasing bottoms. Not in a dirty way, but in terms of chasing the bottom before buying in. And so many people lose out on the tremendous gains by trying to do that rather than just setting a schedule and DCing or buying the dip. That's the true way to win it. right? So there's those things. And then lastly, there's not that much. I mean, there's a big article about Celsius, how they collapsed from 25 billion down to 167 billion. Pretty much that's how much they have in cash, 167 billion million, which they say is more than enough for this restructuring process, but not nearly enough to give back to everyone. So there's that. And then today's the first day of their bankruptcy hearing, their Chapter 11 hearing, whatever. And in one of the slides, in terms of next steps, this is what they plan on doing. Okay, providing customers with the option at the customer's election to recover either cash at a discount or remain long crypto. That's interesting. So they will give you a portion of what you had in cash at a discount. So whatever that portion is, 10%, 20%, 50%, if there's anything, or 0%, or remain long crypto, which means that they basically will hold your crypto. They won't return it to you for X amount of time. That's what I'm assuming, right? Like that they're just going to keep your crypto. You can't take it out for X amount of time, which is why they say remain long crypto. Maximize return for stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? I don't know. Should be the depositors, but most likely it's Alex and team and others, that have invested in Celsius and reorganize the Celsius business. Does that mean they go all in on their mining business, which they claim they can make $355 million worth of Bitcoin in 2023? That's very, very hard to believe when some of the biggest miners out there do not make $333 million from Bitcoin mining per year. But Celsius said that they could, and they could use that to sell to pay back the depositors, right? I don't know if that's true or not, but that's next steps, and it's starting today. Now, that's pretty much it. As for the entire market cap, we're definitely seeing a good rally over the last, today, yesterday, this whole weekend. But you go back to, when Bitcoin hit 17,000, 18,000, 19,000, we were hovering between 19 and 20, right? 21. We finally broke in 2022. But you're starting to see a lot of altcoins come back. Case in point, look at Ethereum. It's now nearing 1,500, right? For the week, it's up 30%. For the month, it's up 50% from its low. That's pretty significant. And you go down the list, you have someone like Solana for the month, about 40%. This week, about 18%. Today is 6%. Cardano hasn't done so well, but today is up 9%. You have someone like Polygon, I mentioned, up 150% from 30 days ago. 60% just this week and 17% today. I think a lot of it is spurred by the Disney partnership. That's absolutely huge, right? So they have been recovering pretty well. Avalanche is up about 57% for the month. You look at Uniswap, added on Robinhood recently, but also because of a lot of people now flocking back into DeFi, up 92% within the last 30 days, 16% in the last 7 days. You go down the list, there's a lot of crypto that has come up, right? So it doesn't mean that it's just one day of rally, but since 30 days ago, pretty significant rise for a lot of these altcoins. The great projects, they're not going to go away. Now, of course, some will go away. But many of the ones I mentioned before, the big L1s, Bitcoin, of course, a lot of DeFi projects, a lot of people are still holding on to metaverse project, gaming projects. They're not going to go away. They're not going to go away. So had you been DCAing, you've been doing it right. And hopefully this week on Wednesday night, I'll be able to do some more DCA with you guys too. All right, let's do some Q&A, guys. Let's see. I gotta scroll through my phone here. I don't know if you guys could tell how tanned I am now. I don't think I've ever been this tanned before. Miles G Investment, where are the bears? That's a good question. You know where they are? They're being liquidated right now. So I forgot to show this. This is a liquidation chart for the last 4 hours, and you can see that's 50 million right there, 120 million. That's another 50 million. That's about 300 million worth of Bitcoin shorts liquidated within the last, half day or so. And as Bitcoin starts coming up more and more and more, we're going to get a lot more short liquidations, which is what we want to see. And finally, if you go back, this is going back until beginning of July. Now you're starting to see more red than greens, right? Which is good. We're finally getting more shorts being liquidated than longs. That's what we want to see, right? So pretty good. Bears are getting liquidated right now. Um, I'd be really surprised if this is our leg up. I do think that I mentioned this. We haven't broke through this 23K mark, which was a previous back in June, about a month ago, right? I'll just draw this line here, but you could clearly see this 22.8 mark, right? So you could clearly see from that mark to 28, there's really nothing. So that's an important mark to break, and we could break that easily today. Okay, that's only 700 points. If we could break that 22.8, man, we could have a significant rally pump back up to 28,000. A lot of it will be due to short liquidations. We'll get a short squeeze, drive things up. But we could definitely see that. I'm saying even by the end of the week, we could definitely see it. Now the question is, when we hit that 28,000, do we continue on or do we come back down? A lot of people are thinking, oh, maybe we just come back down from there. Well, maybe it happens, right? But DCA, just don't guess. DCA. Saw a Rivian truck. It's small. It's a mid-sized truck, although it's not that small. It's not as big as a full-size truck, but it's a decent sized truck. Toyota TRD all day. Get ready. Toyota TRDs are probably going to turn all electric soon. So if you're not a fan of electric, get them now. Um, Feds are going to call another hike, even though expected. It's going to spook the market. I don't know. I don't know. We got some pretty horrible, like really horrible inflation data this month, and the market just shrugged it off, like whatever. I mean, that day was bad, and then afterwards we just start rallying again. And we do have a big rate hike coming up end of this month in another week or 2 weeks or so. Seems like markets are just struggling off because it has come down so much. A lot of these tech stock, a lot of the altcoins, a lot of Bitcoin has been so decimated. People are like finally like, okay, you got to start somewhere. You got to start buying, right? Because we're closer to bottom than to top. So I think a lot of it's been priced in already, unless the rate hike later this month is tremendously higher than expected. Um, Got about 4,008 on Celsius. Will I see any of that again? I can't answer that. You go have to ask Celsius for that. Um, Fiat worth evaporating. Need that hedge. Bitcoin is that hedge. Mundo says we're still battling that 200 week. If we get above and hold as support, I feel pretty good. The bottom might be in. Okay, just call it. All right, um, world's fiats are getting destroyed. That is true. I mean, just look at the euro, right? At the very beginning of the war, the ruble got destroyed, and somehow it came back. But if you look at the euro, what's happening with that? is debased by what, 20%, 25% within a very short amount of time. That's not counting inflation. That's just counting versus USD, right? And you look at the Japanese yen has been debasing too quite a lot. World's fiat currencies are getting debased left and right, and they're being inflated too. Many countries in the world are facing hyperinflation at this point. John Smith, if it hits 28,000, you will know bottom was in. Bought at 18,000 after DCA. That was good enough for me. If it goes a lot lower, who cares? Definitely could go higher than 40. Yeah, John. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of people bought at 18, 19,000. We had plenty of opportunity to do that. We were just going up and down around that point, right? But that's a lot closer to the bottom than the top. The top is infinite. There's still so much to go, but if you bought, let's say, at 18,000, it falls to 17, 16, 15, well, you DC a little more, you bring that cost average down, right? Unlike what Peter Schiff and many others have said, Bitcoin will not go to zero. Bitcoin is being held by the holders and the miners and the Michael Saylors of the world and the Bitcoin bulls. They will continue to hold. Once retail is driven out, guess who's left? The long-term holders. And eventually we'll get that bottom, which could have been at that 17,000. But we don't know. No one will know until we break above like 30,000 or 40,000, right? At that point, people will conclude, okay, we're not going to fall below 17,000. But at that point, you missed out on most of the gains. Why do you wear a red shirt? Because that's the only thing I have. I don't have a green shirt with me. And it hides my tan better. All right. I don't know how much chat I missed here. ETH is king. ETH is definitely having a good day. Matic is having a very good day. 20K is going to be a crazy resistance. I think that's going to be a crazy resistance too. I think there's no resistance here between 23 and 28. That's a big gap. That 5,000 gap could come and could fill really fast. But getting above that 28K, that's going to be tough. But maybe not. You could see that Bitcoin was stuck between 28 and 31,000. So I think that 31,000 will probably be a tougher resistance to break. 28K could break really easily, and then we get stuck under 31,000. But that's fine. That's fine by me. That's way better shape than where we are right now, right? And keep in mind that we were in the 30s just a month ago. The beginning of June, we were still in the 30,000s. So I've said this before. As fast as Bitcoin came down due to all the fear, Three Arrows Capital, Celsius, all that, world economy and stuff, we could go back up just as fast because this was all induced, right, by panic selling. And now you have the reverse. Many people that panic sold are going to FOMO in when things start coming back up again, right? So that's something we can look forward to in the near future. Um, Tiberius, I'm glad you're back. What do you think about Matic going forward? I've always been a big fan of Matic. I've always said Polygon is a great level, layer two slash layer one, because I almost consider them as a layer one right now, right? Even though yes, you have EVM compatibility and um, and they're compatible with ERC20 tokens and everything, but they have such a large ecosystem. They'll be fine. Even with E 2.0, Polygon will still be fine. And with this big Disney incubator, partnership, I think it's a big thing for them. Compound, Brian asked, I think Compound, Aave, Uniswap, these big dexes have started to gain momentum because people are trusting the CeFi lenders less and trusting DeFi lenders more. So I do think that's why they have a pretty good recovery recently. If BTC goes below 10K, CZ will buy it all. He'd probably been buying a lot. That third largest whale, I don't have that address with me. He's been stacking sats like like crazy. It's close to $3 billion to the Bitcoin now. Um, Funny that ETH was 800 a few weeks ago, now back to 1500. That's yeah, that's like doubling, right? I mean, this is the thing with DCA. People make fun of it when obviously things aren't doing that well, right? You know, people are like, well, you're catching a falling knife, you go DCA until it's going to zero, right? And first, I guess for some projects like Terra, yeah, it could go to zero. But for majority of projects out there that continues to build, that continues to thrive with partnerships, with all these new things that they're coming out with, right? Um, they will come back. That's why DCA works. That's why I continue to do the Wednesday DCA, even though it looked bad, it looked like the portfolio was really, really bad, but constant DCA, and when we come back up, it'll turn green much faster with all that DCA. So, um, there we go. Harmony One. Harmony One is really struggling right now, really struggling because of that hack. And DeFi Kingdom's really looking like they want to leave, so not looking good for them. Thoughts on new Coinbase Bill Murray Chive NFT drop? Actually giving owners meet and greet parties. I'm wanting one. Well, I mean that's if you think the meet and greet is worth it, then great. But I used to be a big fan of Chive. I have not looked at their app for quite some time. And Bill Murray, I mean, he has his loyal fans. So it could do well. It could do well. Do you think Polygon will be top 10? I've always said I think they should be in the top 10. There were periods where they were very stagnant. And I'm like, I don't quite get it. Polygon should be doing better. Um, so we'll see. Right now, they are definitely riding the momentum wave. Do you have tips for crypto record keeping? You got to just find a good portfolio tracker, and that will keep track of all your buys, and DCA will give you your average price. So it's very easy. Like I use Delta Investment app. There's many others out there that will basically just track all your buys. Even CMC has their own. I mean, you just stick with one and use it. Julian, I can't play that commercial, or I should say, educational video until I get back. Um, don't use Celsius for a portfolio tracker. DeFi Kingdom is asking people for the input on other chains. I mean, the natural thing would be to just use their own chain. DeFi Kingdom's chain, right? That's built on Avalanche. Why would you want to go to a different chain? Just go all in on Avalanche. Can you show us your old Litecoin mining? You know what? One of my biggest regrets is not having more pictures of it because it was a dark room. So I was trying to take pictures when I had my rig set up, and it was a beautiful setup. I had so many rigs, like 12 or 13 in my basement, and it was a really cool setup. But I've been trying to find pictures over the years. I don't know if I deleted them or what. But if I find it, I will play for you guys or show you guys. Make sure you're applying aloe vera. Yeah, not on my face, but on my back and shoulders. When will the Type R come? I don't know. I don't know. I don't look forward to it. On my other channel, Drivers Only, I show like a preview shot of what it looks like. I don't think it looks anywhere near as good as the old one, but I don't know. I'm looking forward to this though. Ford Raptor R. 700 horsepower, 37-inch tires, MSRP of 109,000, so it ain't cheap. Competing with the Ram TRX. I'm looking forward to this. But it's really hard to buy Fords, even with their Broncos. The Bronco Raptor R or Raptor. I tried calling one of the dealerships and I asked, "Oh, can I place an order?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, Ford doesn't allow us to place orders." I'm like, "What? Okay, I don't know what that means exactly." Um, do you think Elron will be top 10? They have potential, but right now I say no. The other day I drove a Huracan. My God, I'm guessing you enjoyed it. I have not driven a Huracan before, but looking forward to it in the future. What do you think about a marketplace platform that combines sales of NFTs as OpenSea but has social fee like Twitter? When you sell an NFT, you can also sell its history. You may see its history or sell its history. Sell your. I don't think that's a good idea at all. You go try and test a plaid for the truck. No, I won't keep the plaid. I like the Model X plaid. It's a pretty good SUV. I'm kind of missing the Model S plaid that I just traded in. The S Plaid is still significantly faster than the X Plaid. You could feel it. You could definitely feel it. But the X Plaid is still insanely fast. How's the food? Mexican food? It's actually pretty good. Yeah, I take it back half. I'm staying at this resort, all-inclusive resort. Um, the food takes so long to get to eat. So every dinner takes like 2 hours minimum. And some of the food has been good, some not so good. It seems like when they get busy, the food quality goes down quite significantly. But overall, I'm enjoying my vacation. Um, I like your X better than the S. It is definitely more comfortable. Model X isn't well made, according to who you. Toyota Tundra, I like the Tundra. The new Tundra, I've driven many of them. The new powertrain is really nice, very solid. You can't tell it's a hybrid, but I've been hearing they have a lot of wastegate issues. So if they alleviate that, then it'll be a very solid truck. But the old one was very solid already. I drove a Huracan in Vegas, took it to 170 in like 10 seconds. Too scary, even on a straight road. 170 is pretty scary. I've never gone above probably 140 or 150. But if you think that's fast, go drive a Model S Plaid. It will blow you away because it's like twice as fast as that Huracan. Do you think Mt. Gox BTC incoming to market will impact price? It may or may not. A lot of people take cash equivalent. A lot of people will just hold it because we're not back at 70K, right? And overall, the 150,000 Bitcoin, which sounds like a lot, there's many people out there that have more than that. And it's unless it's all being sold at once at a very weak period, I think if it's just a slow release, it won't be that significant. Justin, I already talked about that before. I can't wait when I have a plaid. I mean, if you have a plaid, no one will mess with you on the street. No car is close unless you pull up next to Bugatti, which they are not going to race. But if you have a Model S plaid, basically you have no worry that you'll lose in any street race. Not to say that you should be racing in the street, but yeah, go for an Audi. I hate Audi's interface. They're dual screens and it doesn't really work very well. All right. I think that's pretty much it. Overall, guys, it's a very good day. US markets are doing good. Bitcoin is doing good. And crypto is doing good. We're above 1 trillion market cap. 1 trillion market cap. So did we hit bottom? Can't say for sure, but all the data right now is saying yes. We won't know until Bitcoin goes much higher. But right now, we're definitely seeing a good recovery, especially a good rally from the bottom. A lot of these altcoins and Bitcoin are up significantly just from 30 days ago. So looking good, my friends. Stay strong, focus on the future, and continue to DCA, and good things will happen. Smash the like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys later. All right, have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.